And so I'm guessing we're live already.
Well, it says live.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
Well, hold on here. Let's get some stuff here real quick.
So we're playing.
Yeah.
Let's look at the adjective. Play.
Let's look at the adjective. Hold on here. See here. For some reason, hold on here.
We are live, baby, live, live, baby, live.
Whoa. What was that?
What the hell?
I don't know what that was.
Some passing by UFO or something.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not totally for sure on how to,
Suck a dick.
Whoa.
Dude, who is buzzing? Jesus.
It's not me.
It's not me, at least I don't think it is.
Wow.
It's not me.
Hold on here real quick. Let me try something.
Chief.
Alright, did it stop?
Yeah. What was it?
Not too for sure. I'm not exactly for sure how we. Oh my gosh. Alright, that's coming through on you, Lane.
Hmm? Wait, what?
I was to say that was coming through on you.
What was?
This sound.
Weird, because I don't hear anything.
You hear it from me?
I don't hear anything at all. Well, besides for your voices.
Okay. How the heck do I don't know how to, how should I say this? I don't know. Video manager, live events. Oh, so that's how you do it. Okay, fair enough.
This is going to be all on the MSDF YouTube, if I remember, so.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be all on there.
That's all.
So let me get this here. We go on here to Twitter.
By the way, we're live on YouTube right now.
Yeah, no, I just now got it out.
We are live, baby, live, live, baby, live.
So, and here we go. And it is on Twitter now. So make sure to retweet that, guys, so that way it gets out. Hang on here. Start up here in just a minute. It's just kind of exciting a little bit.
Why am I not following the MSDF YouTube? I thought I was. Okay, I guess I'm not. That's
Cutting my mic really quick so I can see how this is going on YouTube. See if this is actually working. That way you guys don't get the sounds of the YouTube account from you guys talking.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
There we
Okay.
go. Now I'm subscribed.
Okie dokie. Do we have it all figured out? Are we ready?
Yeah, we should be.
Are you ready, Lane?
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm ready. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, and yes, everything is live on YouTube right now.
Okay,
So
cool.
Yeah. Everything
it's
is live on
working.
YouTube. We're
All
good.
right. All right, and welcome to the MSDF LiveCast, episode 2.5. You cannot re-record.
Whew.
And I believe we're gonna. Well,
You
no.
forgot the introductions.
Well, that is true too. But anyway, I'm hung like a zombie.
I'm Pervy Fat Man.
Derek.
Oh, okay. I'm Kenji for the love.
And this is Phoenix Otaku coming to you live from the final day of AfterCon 2014.
This con has been running a while, apparently.
Better than DashCon.
DashCon had a ball pit, though, so you can't deny the ball pit.
Exactly, man. The ball pit's the best thing.
But anyway, for most of you watching this that are wondering why this is actually called episode 2.5, this is because this is a redo of our second episode, which we still have the audio for. So if you would like that, just tweet me on Twitter, and if we get enough,
Tweet
maybe
all
we'll
of
put
us.
it up. But just to let you know, it is not as good as our first episode, and won't be as good as this one.
So, what have you guys been up to for the past few days?
Getting pissed off at the mail service for not delivering my Kill la Kill until next week.
No,
That's why you always get priority mail, man.
it's just been watching anime, catching up with some Kuroko no Basket and Yowamushi Pedal.
Yowamushi Pedal. I can't stand that show. I'm sorry.
Also almost finished with Engine Sentai Go Anju. Since those of you that know me, I'm actually kind of a big Sentai fan now.
Anything from you, Derek?
I've been working lately, as always. Been watching some anime, trying to pick up on Netflix episodes like Tokyo Ghoul. Great show.
Yeah, man, that is a pretty nutty show.
It is.
As for me, not a whole too much. Pretty much Pervy Fat Man here has been living at my place, because his family had went on vacation, and so, we've been
For
having
your
it's pretty much two kings trying to rule a castle, I guess. Not in like fighting or anything like that, but like it's been a pretty cool week so far.
I know we've crossed swords a few times.
Eh.
Jeez, don't make it gay, guys.
I'm all about it.
Let's see, what else was there? No, man, we've pretty much just been having a good old time here. I've been playing a lot of Titanfall lately. I know you guys are probably cringing, but I love that game.
No, because we're just the good old boys.
I did finish up Gundam Unicorn Episode 7, and it was pretty freaking epic. If y'all follow me on Twitter, I tweeted about it, I think, like once or twice. It was a pretty good ending. We don't get all of our, questions answered because, of course, Bandai needs to make some more money. And we'll just leave it at that, and I think we can jump straight into our most disappointing animes.
And like every week, this is our top 10. This week, like Zombie said, we will be covering the topic of most disappointing anime. And starting off with number 10 from Pervy Fat Man.
Okay. Number 10, the more recent series, Captain Earth. Shout out to Sunrise for making yet another disappointing mech show. unfortunately. These guys, as they seem to like run out of ideas for mech shows, and they just pretty much recycle kind of Star Driver almost in a way, so they could just base a whole new mech show around it.
Now,
I I'm still watching, but it's because I'm only too far in to quit.
now you said it was who that made this? I thought it was Bones.
Yeah, I believe it's Bones, but Sunrise is the studio that put it out.
Really? Okay. Okay, my bad. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, wait. Oh my gosh. The characters are not. They're typical kind of mechish anime characters. They've got somewhat of a weird past to them, each and every one of them, and then they all want to overcome that and become the best thing ever, whatever it was. So kind of disappointed in the show because it had a lot of hype because it's from the guy who did Star Driver, and I like Star Driver, so very disappointed in the show. Moving on to, I guess, Phoenix Otaku or Derek or whatever, who wants to do their next one.
The order in which it's going to go is it's going to go Pervy, me, Zombie, and then Derek.
All right.
All right,
Anyway,
that's fine by me.
My top 10, change it up just a little bit since we recorded the second episode. I dropped what was my number 9 on there. So my number 10 is going to have to go with episodes 8 through 11 of Kotora-san. Kotora-san from last year. And if anyone went to the Anime Seasons 2013 panel at Phoenix Comic Con, heard my rant about this, first 4 episodes of this series was phenomenal.
Terrible number one
the
overall.
greatest anime from last year until Kill la Kill came out. But just these 4 episodes, when they decided to change everything about the show and turn it into this let's solve a murder mystery and get away from what was making the show great.
So let's turn it into horror heat, pretty much.
Let's turn it into Remote Island Syndrome. But this was completely unneeded. It dropped the show to, I think, 5th overall from last year, which is really sad considering that was such a great series. But yes, my number 10 is episodes 8 through 11 of Kotora-san and on the zombie.
And at number 10 for me is Vivid Red Operation. And I know I'm going to get some flack from some people. I'm like, not saying that it wasn't a good show, because I think it was a good show. My only problem is that I think I hyped it up a little bit too much, and I think everyone else was they didn't really hype it a whole lot, but there was some expectations because it was coming from the guy that did Strike Witches. And and so with that story and stuff is very similar to Strike Witches. The voice casting in it was good. Animation was actually pretty good. Art was good. My only real problem with the show had to be the one black-haired girl, and I can't remember her name.
Ray, I think her name was.
Yeah, Ray. And the thing that the show tries to do, it tries to force this so-called really bad story that she had and then try to make it like a persevering thing. But the thing is, though, is that she shows up like 3 or 4 episodes before the show ends, and then it's like, we'll throw everything at you. And then you're supposed to feel sorry for her, and everyone online's like, oh my gosh, I feel so terrible for her, and she's the best girl in this show. No, I'm sorry, guys, but Himawari is the best girl in this show.
In a sense, she was kind of like Homura from Madoka. That's how a lot of people kind of progressed her as.
Yes. But that's mainly my main problem, though, with Vivid Red. Like, it's definitely not a bad anime. It's still a good anime. It's still worth a watch. I'm gonna check it out, but it just didn't live up to my expectations. And on to Derek's, number 10 slash how many ever he has, because he just jumped right in here and he only has, I think, like 5 on his list.
Well, if that's the case, then we'll start at number 5 when we get to number 5, if he wants to.
Do you want to do that, Derek?
Yeah, I'll wait till number 5.
Okay. So then on to Pervy.
Number 9. Number 9, if I remember, this is from the guy who did Shakugan no Shana, I want to say. I'm not for sure on that, don't quote me. Den Talion no Shoka. I just remember the show coming out, saw it, I'm like, this looks like Shauna, and I figured, I didn't like Shauna too much, so I figured this might be better than Shauna, it might be worse than Shauna, who knew? As I watched this, I was like, wow, this is not as good as I expected it to be. It really was disappointing. It didn't have too much of a story to it. It kind of just threw things at you until like the end of the show, where it just got like a really happy ending, I guess, and then it just kind of ended. It was one of those rare like swing and a miss kind of thing with animes that you expect something good from it and then you just completely miss on it. And it's not a show that a lot of people actually know, which is actually, I don't know if it's good or bad, but anyway, my number 9, Dentalian no Shoka.
So my number 9, and I know Pervy and Zombie are probably going to kick my ass for this.
No, it better not be okay.
Don't say the name of it.
I'm not.
But this show, when I read about it, the premise of it just seemed amazing. And the only reason why it was a letdown is it became too generic and too stereotypical for the type of show it was. So my number 9, I couldn't be the hero, so I reluctantly decided to get a part-time job.
Oh,
Man, I love that show.
It's a good show.
Yes, it is.
Here's the thing. It was just too much of a generic harem to get past the unfunny comedy. Besides, the first episode was funny, and then after that, I just couldn't get into the comedy of it. Personally, wasn't thinking it was funny. Like I said, the harem in this was just too generic, seemingly unoriginal, which was really disappointing considering that the fact that this show had a great premise in it. For once, it wasn't taking place inside of a McDonald's. It was actually taking place in a unique environment. They actually made the devil a woman for once.
So Ubisoft would never have her in a video game, right?
Too hard to animate.
But anyway, like I said, the reason why this show was just complete disappointment is because it was too generic for the genre that it was. So my number 9, I couldn't be the hero, so I reluctantly decided to get a part-time job, and on to Zombies number 9.
And my number 9 is Dead Man Wonderland. And I'm sorry. Well, not to say that it's a bad show. I think it's a decent show. But the main problem with this show is the fact that they skipped, I think, like 20 plus chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And
Just like Black Bullet.
Yeah, like, but well, Black Bullet goes through stuff fast.
No, if you want to compare something skipping chapters in like manga form, You do that with Dead Man Wonderland and like the third season of The World God Only Knows.
Yeah, like it literally jumps like 20 to 40 chapters, and they try and tie it in so that way you're not totally lost and it's bad. You're wondering like what the hell's going on, what happened, and it just takes away from the show. And I thought the show was fairly good, not great, but it was a good show up until that point. And when that happened, it really took away from it. And then they really had freedom with what they did. And in the end, it was barely okay. It was still a decent show. Still worth a watch, and that's my number 9.
Okay, moving on to my number 8. I actually watched this as it originally aired on Toonami. I heard about it. I heard it was good, and I heard it was, kind of unique in a way. So it got me interested. Number 8, Casher and Sins. I don't know what happened with this show. It turned boring so fast in this show. It was disappointing. I figured, hey, there's guy, he fights robots and he eats robots, and defends this one little girl, and there's this older guy, and then, Cashin, he, is the hero of the show, the anti-hero of the show, or whatever, and he's like this emotionless, kind of emotional, kind of like person. It turns out, it's like one of those things. I don't want to do this, but I will if I have to defend somebody, kind of guys. It kind of bugged me because I've seen a lot of those shows and I didn't like a lot of those shows. But yeah, overall the characters disappointing. The only thing that really stood out to me was the artwork, and even after that, it's not a very memorable show. Number 8, Casher and Sins.
And so with my number 8, much like Katoda-san, the setup for this show and the execution for the first half of the show, or actually majority of the show, was amazing. It was just the final episode that was a complete letdown. So my number 8 is Goku Koku no Brynhilder. And mostly what it was, well, it wasn't actually just the final episode, it was the final 2 episodes in which they tried to cram 34 chapters of the manga into 2 episodes, which just completely threw off the pacing and led to this confusing ending for most people. Now, I went back and actually read the manga, so I actually understand the whole thing behind the ending, but they also changed things from the manga. Just overall confusing as to why they wanted to do this instead of trying to go for a second season. And just the lack of care for this anime is what disappoints me the most. Because they had such a great series. And I guess one sign that kind of led to this was going to become a letdown was the fact that they changed the opening to something that wouldn't fit it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I guess looking back symbolizes, oh, hey, the ending's not going to fit either, so why should the opening? So anyway, my number 8 most disappointing anime is Goku Koku no Brynhilder, which should be called Goku Koku no Evangelion Brynhilder. And anyway, with that, on to Zombie.
And my number 8 is Photokano. And I'm not for sure if Phoenix has this on his list or not, but I'm sure he can agree with me with this. Is that the main reason why this show is disappointing is because it really looked like it was going to be set up like Amagami SS, and it wasn't.
And I can get into more of that later.
Okay. But anyway, main point in this is that not one of these girls, except for I think like one or maybe 2 get more than like an episode or so to be
It
with the
was
main
only one.
character.
It was only one character, and it was the first one.
Okay. Alright, so then only 1. And she gets like 2 to 2.5 episodes worth of time. And then doesn't like end up with him. And then so he keeps going through all these different routes or these girls and stuff. And there was 2. And 1 especially that I think he should have been with. And and the one was this a big-breasted girl. I'm a not fan servicey or anything like that, but she generally had a real big like connection and interest to him, and she would cook for him, and like take after him and stuff, and just like always by his side, and always always just there for him, and everything like that. Pretty much like what a wife should be there for.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's also the one that kept getting lost everywhere, right?
Yes, she was a little bit of a ditz, but the point is that like her heart was in the right place, her feelings were, and everything. And then the main character guy's like, I don't know if it's gonna work, and then it just goes off into the next girl. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you have no idea. And that was my real big main complaint, other than the fact that it wasn't like Amagami SS. Anyway, that's my number 8, Photokano, and on to Pervy's number 7.
My number 7, it's a bit of an older series. If I remember, it aired back when G4, it was G4 Tech TV. It was on that has that late night anime block.
Jeez, now that's going back, man.
Yeah, Zam's Lost Memories. I'm not too sure what to say about this show. It's unmemorable. The characters are bad. The story, you figure, hey, this kid has the ability to transform into like some beastie thing and fight things. No. The show was really bad. The show was really disappointing in that fact of
You cut it out, man.
Hey, man,
maybe he'll use the beast power.
Yeah, we're losing you, bro.
Wow. Yeah, man, we're losing you.
Alright, am I back? Alright, crap, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well now you're fine. It's the
No,
exact-
Check.
Sorry about that, guys.
Alright, what about now? Check.
Okay, you seem okay.
But yeah, back to Zamd. The thing was, Zamd it was kind of that story working against the kids. Like, the one guy not using his power for what he should have used it for, as opposed to just being the crybaby guy or whatever, not wanting to use his power, and eventually at the end of the series, spoiler alert, being turned to stone for like 10 years. Number 7, Zamd Lost Memories.
Alright, so with my number 7, I was already disappointed with it when it got pushed back from fall from last year to winter, and then became even more disappointed when I found out that it was only going to be a 5-minute anime. But my number 7 has to be Popa. And one thing I will give it that everyone seems to be hating on it is the art style, which I actually loved it. I think that was one of the best parts of it. But the thing that made it really disappointing was you get into an episode, and I want to take like an example, like episode 5. Episode 7. So they're in this lab, and correct me if I'm wrong, especially people on Twitter if I'm wrong on this episode, but they're in this lab, and the main girl, Yumi, I think her name was, is hearing her brother getting tortured. And this just drives her bat-sane and crazy. Well, bat-sane, insane. Batshit crazy, pretty much. So she comes leaping out of the room that she's being held in, but right before she does anything, the ending pops up. So you're like, okay, this is finally going to get good. Turn into episode 8. They're doing something completely different, showing this weird woman with long hair and a hat just bathing in a hot spring. And you're like, where is the intensity from last week? Where is this impact that I was feeling at the end of this episode? That's what really made Popa a complete disappointment to me. So anyway, that's my number 7, because the more I think about it, the more it confuses my brain to the point where I can't speak right.
And then so on to my number 7 is Mobile Fighter G Gundam. And I'm sorry, guys. I can feel the kicks coming to my nuts from all the way back here. I'm sorry. But I'm like, not saying that like it's a bad show. It's okay. But coming as a fairly knowledgeable like Gundam fan and stuff like that, it's probably one of the weakest links out of most of the stuff that's come out for Gundam. And the main big reason why is because, of course, it's a tournament. And most of the time, tournament animes don't turn out to be very good. And not to mention some of the absolute ridiculous designs for the mecha in here. But then again, though, it was intentional. Because Tomino was trying to, I think, like, get out of his contract or something like that and get fired. Because he was tired of working for like Bandai and stuff. And so he's like, I'm going to destroy the series. And it turned out a lot of people liked it, and it backfired. So, but anyway, I just don't, I just didn't care for the designs and stuff and all that. And I don't particularly like tournament-based animes unless it has like a fairly good story to back it up. And with this, it didn't. It was just ridiculous. And so that's my number 7, Mobile Fighter G Gundam. And on to Pervy's number 6.
Okay, my number 6 is Shakugan no Shana.
Those are fighting words, sir.
I kind of had an interest in Rie Kugamiya anime a long time ago. That's why I watched, Familiar Zero, Toradora, just a lot of the different tsundere animes that she's done. I came across, I was like, it's finally time to watch Shakugan no Shana. Let's do this. The whole first season, it was nothing short of disappointing, because figured, there'd be the love interest between her character and the main guy, which I figured, but she wasn't as much tsundere as she was, like, kind of like, in a sense, yandere. Or not yandere, dere. Like, she had almost no emotion for a lot of the show. The only time she ever did show emotions when she got mad, which is normal, and then during battle. Outside of that, she really didn't show too much emotion. And a lot of the different characters, too, weren't all too good. Like, I figured the male character would actually be able to, be a good person, but he was kind of a wimp for the entire first season. I guess he got better in the second season. I didn't watch it, so the story to me didn't make a lot of sense. I figured it'd be a little bit like Familiar to Zero, but it really wasn't. That's kind of why I was disappointed. To me, that's kind of my least favorite Rie Kugamiya tsundere, and Shakugan no Shana at number 6 for me. Moving on to Phoenix Otaku.
So my number 6 was another show from fall last year. Well, it was a show from fall last year. 10 episodes, another good concept, just horribly executed after the first episode. And my number 6 is no Kame, otherwise known as my mental choices are messing with my school romance comedy.
Otherwise known as my mental choices are messing with my bacon.
Bacon anime.
Hashtag.
This episode starts out, and you have this guy who has this syndrome where he has to just choose one of two random scenarios that pop up. Like the first choice in this, he finds this porn mag laying in the park. And the first two choices are bury your face in it, and I'm forgetting the second one because that's not the one he chose.
I think it was something about like you have to get undressed and run around the park screaming that like I like porn or something like
wait,
that.
no. The second one, the choices were sniff it in public or eat it. So he obviously chooses to sniff it, and you can kind of see the predicament that he's in. All of a sudden, he gets this message from God saying, okay, you can get these curses lifted if you do all these tasks. And you watch that first episode, and you're like, this is going to be good. But then week after week, it just becomes stale as far as the comedy goes. It takes 2 or 3 episodes to do one challenge, and the fact that it's 10 episodes really does not help it. In fact, they spent like 4 episodes doing this one challenge, well, this one task where he has to get all 10 or 9 participants in this school competition to say that they love him. And if he fails one of these, this syndrome will be stuck with him forever. But he has an assistant with him called Chocolate.
I love chocolate.
And, of course, it's this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, busty woman.
Alien race?
Hmm? But she was generally one of the funny characters in this, along with, and I don't know why I'm forgetting her name because she was my favorite, the white-haired girl that was part of the Reject 5. But the fact that this show never went anywhere and the comedy for it became stale is what really turned me off from this series. So my number 6 is my mental choices are completely ruining this anime, otherwise known as no Kame or no bacon.
And my number 6 is an anime called Coppelion.
Oh, wow. I actually forgot about that show.
Oh my god.
How should I say this?
Really quick, how far did you get into this?
6 episodes.
I finished
You made it farther than me.
I finished it.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that this show got delayed, I think, like a whole year. I think it was a year.
Yeah, it was because of it was the time that was supposed to air the disaster had happened over in Japan.
Okay. Yeah, like that is true. Anyway, point being is that the whole premise of this show is that there's these 3 girls that go into this Tokyo area that is contaminated in radiation. Now, of course you're wondering, well, why are these 3 girls there and they're not, getting radiation poisoning? Well, so on and so forth. You pretty much assume that, they're special, and which they are. But the main point being here is that this is like it's kind of like the end of days thing, pretty much for Tokyo. And it has really good background art, some fairly decent music, and really, really good atmosphere to go with it. And the only problem with this show is that the animation is it's not really a huge complaint, but it is when there's action, because there's sometimes a decent amount of action, especially later in the show, and it's not well choreographed at all. It's bad. The sound effects for guns sound like little bitty like pea shooters or someone shooting marshmallows, which isn't accurate at all. I'm sorry. I'm a stickler when it comes to that stuff. If it doesn't sound pretty much exactly what it is supposed to sound like, it's a no-no. And like I said, animation and it's not that good when action is going on per se sometimes, and the choreography is bad. If they would have just stuck, hold on, if they would have just stuck with just the atmosphere with some stuff going on during the whole show like they did for the first 3 episodes, I think I probably would have stuck through it, and I probably would have rated it a decent show.
One
Anyway,
thing though was that the character designs were amazing.
I thought the main three were designed. Well, they look somewhat similar, and it's really weird because they all have these or these skin tones, which is really, really odd because they're not like pure white. They're almost like this really light grayish color, and it's really weird. But but that's my number 6, and on to Pervy's number 5.
My number 5 is Infinite Shadows Season 2. I really wish this was so much better. We pick up from where the original season left off. The show turned into a general harem anime is what it came out to be. Ichika, probably one of the dumbest protagonists in recent memory. He has all the women chasing after him. He's like, no, I don't want this. I'd just rather pilot my mech or my sister. And every time he says that, he gets a crap pumped out of him. So the atypical harem anime. It turned from, a half mecha show to a little bit of a harem anime, and then into just a full-blown harem anime with like a dash of mecha in there every now and again. And the sad part is that we got introduced to a brand new character, Taten Shiki, if I remember her name. We don't see a lot of her in the season, and all the stuff that we do, she's fawning over Ichika for no apparent reason. It was kind of disappointing. I expected more out of it. I expected better, and I know it's kind of how the manga went and everything, but I just really expected better of it. And my number 5, Infinite Shadows Season 2, on to Phoenix Otaku.
So, originally at number 5, I had Beyond the Boundary, but then I was looking back on it, and I realized that it wasn't a disappointment, more of just a bad show. But it was disappointing compared to the hype. Now, number 3, just like a lot of these, excellent premise. First 3 episodes were great. The end of episode 3 was what really turned the show. And I think and this show made me wary of Sabagebu, which I'll talk about later. Not in this countdown, but just later on in the show.
Man, I can hear Anubis getting upset a little bit.
But my number 5 is Stella Women's Academy Class C3, otherwise known as C3 Boo. Now, before I get started, this show was good. Finally, a show about airsoft. And everything was well done. The fight scenes were great. The characters could have been better. And we start off with this woman who looks like Osaka from Azumanga Daioh. And of course she starts off as kind of a stereotypical, my place doesn't belong here. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I should just join the Going Home Club. But then all of a sudden, she meets this woman. Or wait, no, she enters the Airsoft Club and meets the president that one of my friends honestly said looked like the female version of Simone.
She also turned out to be her roommate, too.
Yep. So then, while they're trying to recruit her, one of the main reasons why they want to recruit her is because of the fact that she can make these rice balls that are perfect. And apparently that has something to do with being able to fire a gun good. Well, very well. So she joins, they go to this tournament, she surrenders, they all look at her with disappointment. Kind of like I looked at this show halfway through it. So then she decides, I'm going to cut my hair. So eventually more character development comes along, and she leaves and joins the enemy.
So she cut her losses, not just her hair.
Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, she becomes, no other way to put it, she just becomes a bitch.
You see, but that's what I actually liked about the show, because she. Okay, never mind. I'll let you go on and finish it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I know people liked it, but just from the way she started, I liked her that way. So when she became this, cannot lose under any circumstances, everything is down to me, I'm not going to care about anybody else, bitch mentality, I just couldn't stand it. And then finally, Rin, after one of these fights, just says, no, this personality of yours is horrible. You are a horrible person. Get the hell off this team and go find a hole to die in.
And that's when the show for me got really good.
Yes, and at that point, that's when it did turn around, and that's why I was able to finish it. If it was gonna go the route it was going until then, I would have dropped it. But it did get better at the end. But just the execution of the show was really what was disappointing towards me, and it was mostly in the character development. So my number 5 is C3 Boo and On to Zombies.
We'll be on to Derek now.
No, it's Zombie then Derek.
Yeah, like Derek's after me.
That's right.
But anyway, for my number 5 is pretty much exactly what Pervy had said about Zamd, and Zamd is my number 5. Can I just copy and paste pretty much what you said, because it's pretty much exactly how I think about the show.
Yeah. At this point, it's time to cue the OP. Run away, run away, run away, run away, run away.
But like in all seriousness though, I thought this show was gonna be really good. Its story was interesting, and the way that it left off with like every other episode was like, okay, man, something's good is gonna happen. Something good is gonna happen, and then it's like nothing really happens, and then you're just left disappointed. But the show though, for when action stuff did go down, it was actually fairly decent. It was all right when stuff happened like that. Animation was good, and I thought the art was pretty good. But as Timmy said, it was just underwhelming and disappointing toward the end. And I'd say it's still worth a watch just to check it out. Definitely check it out. It's something different, but be wary of it though. Anyway, Zam number 5 for me, and on to Derek's number 5.
My number 5 is Dot Hack GU Returner, because how the way it played out did not seem like any other Dot Hack show. And plus, I played all the games just to get to watch this movie, OVA. And how the way to play out, they're supposed to meet OVA and stuff. Where they're like, oh, we're just going to have this festival, go to this random keyword that's been posted up. And while I'm watching it, and like nothing really happens, there was really a little fight scene. And I was kind of really disappointed that really nothing happened. I'm like, this is bullshit. All right, I just hope they get to meet OVA and stuff. And the only thing that really happens at the end of it is OVA meets his little sister, which has like he didn't get to meet everybody else, and that just made me so frustrated. I'm like, well, that was wasting my fucking time. But yeah, my number 5 was Dot Hack GU Returner.
And now on to Pervy with his number 4, I presume?
Yep, my number 4 is it's a magical girl show that I was not fond of. And I actually not sort of into the magical girl type show. I mean, I've seen a lot of them, but I'm just not my favorite genre. Number 4, Fantasista Dolls. It had an interesting concept. A girl was able to summon like a magical girl to fight for her via like cards and everything, and it just seems, after a while, it just stopped being interesting. Just because it came like kind of a wash, rinse, repeat thing to where they would get into trouble, summon one of the girls, they would fight, and then eventually summon all the girls. They would fight all the other girls who were being used by like the bad guys, and then then the girls would win, and then just kind of wash, rinse, repeat. There was like a tuxedo mask knockoff in there. It's one of the few shows I actually got halfway through and dropped, surprisingly. Which I don't do that often, which shows how disappointing this show was. And number 4, Fantasista Doll.
Alright, so my number 4 was a show that Zombie talked about earlier. And the setup for it, this is like Azumanga, well, not Azumanga now, Amagami SS. So I'm thinking, if they pull this off, it's going to be great. My number 4 is Photokano. And we get into it, and by episode 2, I'm like, this is not going to be anywhere near Amagami SS. Because Amagami SS, right from the bat, chooses the first girl, gives her 4 episodes. Next 4 episodes, someone else. And then etc. until we get past 25 episodes. This one, the first 4 episodes, you get to meet every single woman in there. And then finally, at episode 5, we start getting into the actual arcs of these women. And it turns out, instead of giving them a couple episodes, each one of them, to get to the perfect end, all but one of them get 1 episode. The first woman, which, if I believe right, was his childhood friend, got 2 episodes. And unlike Amagami SS, which had a secret episode for an alternative route, we didn't get that with Amagami SS. And which I was really looking forward to, because I actually wanted to see if a relationship with the other member of the only female member of their side of the photo club. I wanted to see if there was an actual route with her, because there had been a lot of hints that they were going to do an episode for her, but it never happened. But just the fact that it did not live up to what it was supposed to be was just a complete disappointment. Never got any emotional attachment with any of the characters, which, unlike Amagami SS, which I got to know and like pretty much all the characters. So my number 4 has to be Photokano, otherwise known as Amagami SS Not.
And on to my number 4, which would be Selector Infected Wheatcross. And with Selector Infected Wheatcross, I could tell you that it's kind of like a mix of Madoka Magica, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh in a way, and some really kind of dark atmospheric type of vibes.
Whoa, you're comparing it to Yu-Gi-Oh? It doesn't have card games on motorcycles, okay?
Well, I just meant in card games in general.
Did Kaiba Corporation have something to do with this?
I don't know. Like, but point being is that this very first episode of this show was actually really good. It showcased some nice, how should I say it? Foreshadowing in a way. In the very first like 5 minutes of how this show was going to be, but I didn't stick around for it mainly because with this show it has a nice, decent atmosphere, somewhat interesting characters that you think are going to have some pretty nice developments, which never happens in this show. Never happens. And that's what's most disappointing about the show. Not just that, another part that's also really disappointing is the fact that when there is action, when they do like these card battling stuff, it looks really nice, it's really well animated, and you only get teased maybe like once or twice for like a minute or two, and then it just ends completely for like that card battle, and then it's on to let's try and progress the story and the characters, and let's not do anything with it. And that was one of the biggest disappointments too. And I think at like episode 5, I just had enough of it because I was all like, I mean, you keep promising us these interesting characters and stories, in which we do get a little bit of a twist with one character, but it's nothing that you didn't really see coming, and it's less impactful than you had hoped. And with that, that was number 4, Selector Victor Wheatcross, and I did drop that at episode 5, I believe.
Thought you made it to 8.
No.
Because I was at 6 asking you if I should continue watching those 2 episodes and see where it's at.
You know what? I think I might have. I just don't think I updated my mal.
Alright. On to Derek.
Derek, with your number 4.
Well, my number 4, of course, would be another Dot Hat. It's Dot Hat GU trilogy movie. And essentially, this trilogy movie is all 3 games piled up together. And how the way they did it, it's just they cut out so much that I was like lost. Like, really? Cut this out? I would have preferred it to be almost like a car move, or so they could have a little more, so it wouldn't seem like so confusing. And there were some extra parts in there that you didn't get in the game, which I thought would be cool. But how the way it ended in this one too was saving the OVA part and Oro trying to stop him. That was just like, what the fuck? Really? And it just kind of just made me furious about it. So this is the end of that one. Thank God. So that's my number 4, Dot Hat GU trilogy.
Man, that was some crazy echoing.
Yes, it was. I can hear myself.
On to me with my number 3. One that came out recently. A lot of people compare it to Bleach. The only good thing I remember from this show being one of the characters, the character design, and then the ED by Nano, Maho Senso. I don't know what happened to this show. I have no idea what happened to this show. This show had a lot of, interest to it. It was a magic high school thing where they could battle each other and fight each other throwing magic spells and stuff. That was not the case as what I thought it was going to be. It turned out to be the most disappointing thing I've seen in a long time. It's mostly because it's just a lot of Miu, I believe her name was.
Miu.
She went after her brother.
Oh no, it was Mui.
Mui, yeah. She went after her brother, who was evil. Then he got turned to good. He went back to evil. And then there's the one guy who was crushing on Miu, but she loved her brother more. And then there's the other 2 people who were side characters who were useless, and just the story didn't make sense. There's just this organization, and like I said, Mui the character design and then the ED were the only good things about this show, and that's why it was kind of so disappointing. Number 3, Maho Senso.
And with that, my number 3 might not have that much to say about it because it's already been talked about. But my number 3 is Selector Infected Recross. But yeah, it starts off with this girl, and her name, Ruko. After watching Kill la Kill, not a good character name, because you're only going to think Ryuko. So out this entire thing, I'm just going to call her Ryuko, because that's what I did during the entire show. So we meet her. She's living with her brother and her grandmother. And there's something to do with a pillar. Never really figured that out, but...
There's men in that pillar, according to JoJo Season 2.
But her brother introduces her to this card game called We Cross. And her friend is also a part of it, along with 5 other girls, and then halfway through the series, this other loli is the only way I could think of it. Basically a ripoff of the one of the chicks from the Monogatari series, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. So anyway, we get to episode 3 and we meet this new girl, and at the end of episode 3 you're like, all these characters are related to a character from Madoka Magica. You have the main girl who's Madoka because she can't think of a wish to save her damn life. You have her friend, who's Sayaka. You have this other girl, and I really cannot remember the names because this is how forgettable this show is, who has the only male card, it seems, out of this entire game, who's Mommy, except she can keep her head. You have Aki Lucky, who's Kyoko, who was the only good character in that show, by the way. And then you have her main rival, who was Homura. So, and also in episode 3, we start to actually see some of the card battles. And this is the longest card battle you will ever see in the show. 15 minutes of it is taken up by Ryuko and Mami fighting each other. Well, on the other side of the world, otherwise known as the city, you have Sayaka and Aki Lucky. So we actually get to see a winner with Ryuko, whereas Aki Lucky does one hit and then the battle's over. And then all of a sudden we get to episode 5. At the end of episode 4, we find out this dark twist, which if anybody had watched Madoka Magica knows that there's a consequence for wishing for something. Whoever didn't think that there was going to be some negative effect if you lost this card game is completely blind or just really, really, really optimistic. So by the end of episode 5, Ruko is facing face to face with Aki Lucky, and Aki Lucky is just, oh, I don't feel sorry for her. I'm glad about what happened to her. She's like, you take that back. Fight me now. And it just ends with this, like, finally, this fight that we want to see.
Fight me, IRL.
Episode 6 starts. They begin the battle. Ryuko does one shot. Aki Lucky tries to find out her wish. She finds out there's no wish. One more shot from Ryuko. Battle's over.
Friendship defeats all.
In the time span of 30 seconds to 1 minute, we just saw the most anticipated fight that this series had to offer. And it was just a tease.
Yep.
And during this whole thing, the plot has not advanced. In 6 episodes, this plot did not advance one bit. So by the end of episode 6, where Aki Lucky's just down on her luck, you end it and it's just like, if that's the most anticipated fight, there's no reason to continue this. So that's when me, and from what it sounds like, a good majority of the people who watched this ended up dropping it. How it's getting a second season, I have no idea. Second season this fall being called Selector Spread Wheat Cross.
Well, also remember too, I think in August or September, the actual card game for it comes out, so that's probably why.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me. Another thing that would have made this show good is if they actually would have explained what this card game was, how it worked, just everything that this card game had to it. But no, we are supposed to interpret it for ourselves. Let our imaginations run wild as to how this game works. So that way when the game comes out, we can just buy it, go up against somebody that knows what they're doing, and lose, just like Ryuko does to her grandmother. So number 3 for me, Selector Infected Recross, and on to Zombie.
And my number 3 is Seiken no Quasar, the second season. And, what do you call it? The first season of Seiken no Quasar actually did fairly decent, I think, with fans, and I really enjoyed the show. So when we heard that we were getting a second season, we're like, okay, we're not for sure if there's not, exact amount of content and stuff for it, but like filler is filler, and of course there's always filler in short shows, and so we're like, okay, well if it's okay filler, then we'll be fine. Okay, the show starts, and it's a lot lackluster than what we had thought it was going to be, and I'm like not saying that the animation and art and action and stuff weren't bad, because they were as good as the first season, but but the fact that the story, and then, the story didn't go anywhere at all, other than the main character had to go into an all-girls dorm and cross-dress, and the fact that he had to find the bad guy. Okay, and that's pretty much the story. But the main thing that made this bad is that by episode 5, we're like, okay, this show is just, barely decent enough, to actually be enjoyable. And then the second half comes pretty much on episode 6, and then it pretty much goes straight into pointless, useless, stupid filler that sometimes doesn't even have anything to do with the show whatsoever. I had no idea what they were thinking. And I was just really disappointed with it, because I really enjoyed the first season. Anyway, that's my number 3 for Seiken no Quasar. If you watch the first season, still check it out. But once you get to episode 6 or so, you're gonna wish you more than likely hadn't watched it, because when the show is brought up anywhere, we're all like, "What do you mean there was a second season?" We don't talk about that. Anyway, number 3, Seiken no Quasar, second season, and on to Derek's number 3.
My number 3 is Valkyrie season 2. God forbid. It just, oh, Jesus. Well, let's see. How the way it went from the first season, which was great, just how the way it ended at the first season, just like, I want more, this is badass. Second season just kicked the curve, like, we're going downhill from here. The main character, he just started this, like, oh, I can't do anything anymore, almost. Like, started playing like, I'm weak now, like. And as it further goes on, he was trying to save this one girl, the most badass guy who can get himself out of any situation for no reason, trying to save a girl, which is really an old-ass alien, for Christ's sake, taking over people's bodies. Trying to save her as much as he can, and she ends up dying, and he goes into, like, the most emo state throughout the whole almost post a show at that point, like, I couldn't save her. Like, trying to find out formulas and shit. I couldn't save her. No way. So, and biggest problem throughout the whole series, how the way this next really power is off by your fucking memories, which you eventually lose them. Which I'm like, that is gay. Like, really? You got this immortal body, and it feeds off your memories, and it can kill you? I was like, that's really stupid. I could have thought of something way better than that. And it just ended off really bad that way. Of course, then the chick he loved got shot him because she's afraid. Then you guys got any input for this?
And that the ending made utter no sense, and kind of ruined the second season a little bit for me, but other than that, it was still a decent show.
Yeah, I say it's decent, but fucking second season just kind of made me clench my teeth like, fuck you. I'll go with first season, so. Well, that's my third one, Valbrave Season 2.
And on to Pervy's number 2.
Yeah, my number 2. If I could explain this, I could probably point you in the direction of my Mal account where I used to have a review of this show to where I pointed out all the wrongdoings of the show. Unfortunately, all the little haters on Mal voted against my review and got it taken down. So, my number 2, Sekai Ichi Naritai, aka I Want to Be the World's Strongest, aka Let's Moan While We Wrestle the Entire Time. This show, I had so many expectations for this show because it was a female wrestling show. I figured, hey, maybe it'd be like Rumble Roses, because back when this actually came out, I was playing Rumble Roses Double X. I figured, hey, it'd be really cool. We women throwing each other around the ring, doing some cool moves and everything. No, it's about some big-breasted bimbo idol who thinks she could step between the ropes and take on the toughest challengers in the ring. Granted, that's the majority of WWE nowadays, but unfortunately, that's how the show went. It's not good at all.
Robo.
Jeez, what the hell is going on?
She's not good at all. She can't wrestle. She moans every time she gets put into a submission hold, which is unrealistic. And there's only like 3 or 4 moves that got executed throughout that whole show. That of which being a suplex, a Boston Crab, a Texas Cloverleaf, and then like some sort of other move, like a body slam or a clothesline or something. I don't know, but I this may be the wrestling purist in me since I've been watching wrestling since I was 5 years old. America, I know, but the thing is, I could not stand it. After about 7, 8 episodes, I just quit. And I actually looked up the ending. She lost, but she won 1 match, and that's what made the happy ending for the show, apparently. It's not worth watching. It was so disappointing, and that's why it's my number 2 on my list.
Well, the fact, too, that it was so bad is that she loses literally like 100 times.
Yeah, there's no way
Literally.
you can lose like 100 matches.
And let's see here. Lane, you're up.
Yeah, but one thing with that show is I couldn't get past the PV for it. But anyway, on to my number 2, and this has been talked about by Furry and Zombie. My number 2, or actually, I don't think Zombie talked about this, but Maho Senso.
Oh boy.
So, first off, I gotta say, I love the fact that they decided that this little power pop-up is going to be this purple circle that appears in the main guy's eye because they wanted him to give off a Lelouch presence. Bad decision because that's when I lost kind of all serious for the show. But you see Mui, and you're just like, okay, I'll watch this for a little bit. First episode, and it's just like, good premise, worth watching. And then finally, you throw the guy with the purple eye, his air quote girlfriend, Kurumi, his airheaded best friend, and the brother hunting Mui into a alternate post-apocalyptic, still better than Capillion version of Tokyo. And there you have the setting for Maho Senso. And now they're inside of a magic school, where they're at the bottom tier of students. And all of a sudden, they all have to get these weapons. So this guy chooses this weapon that looks like it can't decide if it wants to be a gun or if it wants to be a sword, but it can fire bullets. And it's called Twilight. And it used to belong to somebody else. And it's going to try and kill you while you sleep.
It sparkles in the sun.
It's going to Freddy Krueger you while you sleep by fighting you in your dreams and stealing your life from the outside.
Because if you die in your dreams, you die for real.
Don't bring SAO up.
Oh, bro.
But anyway, eventually, after 6 episodes, they get her brother back from the Traitors or Trailers, one of the two. Either way, it's just ridiculous name. Meanwhile, the action in this is amazing. I will give it that. However, we don't get any of that. We get maybe one fight every 3 episodes. And the action was the only good thing about it besides for Mui. Because the story was just horribly paced. It was so slow at points that it felt like you were watching an hour every episode. That every episode was the length of an hour.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think watching paint would be more fun, though, personally.
Yeah, it probably would have been.
So, if you made it through all 12 episodes, you deserve some kind of Purple Heart. I made it to episode 9, saw that it was going nowhere, and normally I don't drop an anime after halfway through, but every rule has its exception, and Maho Senso was that exception. So my number 2, Maho Senso, and on to Zombie.
And my number 2's gonna go quick. As it's been stated before, Infinite Stratos from Pervy Fatman for the 2nd season. Pretty much what exactly Pervy had said is the truth about this show. They changed the show from a harem/action-ish type of show from the 1st season to just a plain old 18 to 19 minute harem. And then you had like 2 minutes of like mech fighting in it, and that was the whole show, every episode. And by episode 5, I had just about enough of it. What's his name? Ichika, the main character, he's a even more dumber MC than he was in the fucking first show. I'm sorry for my language, but they completely. Man, I was really looking forward to this show. I really was. And I'm being truthful, I really was.
Yeah, same here. I was too.
And that was my number 2, and on to Derek's number 2.
Surprisingly, my number 2 was Infinite Stratos too.
Also,
Yeah.
also for when you're talking to the mic or whatever, man, I'm a like stare toward it or keep your voice toward it. Okay, don't move your head any other way or anything, because it's picking up really weird.
Well, how are you going off each? Yeah, he's just plain nuts. But I have this theory that he's really like, no, I want these bitches all over me. I'm gonna play stupid. I want them all over me. I just really have that theory because me and my coworker are talking about it. And he's like, no, no, it can't be right. Like seriously, think about it. But yeah, he is completely stupid. And what really threw me off in the first show was not just the harem. It's like this chick that looks similar like his sister, but like more toned down, like Lolly. I'm like, who the fuck is she? What's going on here? And this one chick that's building, the most powerful Infinite Stratos, whatever. She just like, here, I'll build you one. You can go face him. Regardless, you're gonna kill him. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it just like completely was hopeless at that point. I managed to finish it. Give me a Purple Heart for that too. But yeah, I was like, oh god, I hope they don't make a third season after this because it's probably gonna go downhill from here. Way worse. But yeah, that was my number 2, Infinite Stratos season 2.
On to the number 1.
Surprise, surprise for my number 1. It's yet another Sunrise Mecha show, Buddy Complex. This was one of those shows. I was coming off Valbrave. I figured, Valbrave was pretty good. Second season had a bit of a weird ending, and Sunrise I did really good with the show. The mech designs were really good, and then it was like, hey, Buddy Complex, maybe something good too. Not necessarily. Just remember, the show pretty much is the one guy and one girl. The MC and the main MC girl. He finds out that she pilots this mech to fight these other guys who pilot mechs from the future. She ends up dying, saving him by sending him to the future, to where she's from, but it's before she went back, apparently, because she was working for the bad guys, or like the timeline changed. I don't remember really. And he spends most of the show like, like, hey, I have to save her. I gotta go do this. I don't want to save her. I need to find out if it's actually her or not. Even though while he's in the middle of battle, he opens his mech, which is a no-no, and pretty much jumps to her mech to say, hey, let me in, I need to talk to you, even though she's the enemy, could kill him at any moment. And it wasn't very interesting. The show, I lost interest in this show. I mean, I watched it, but I did not. I got up to about the last episode, and I just didn't watch the last episode after that. I left it be, and I'm not gonna watch season 2, which I'm very surprised it's got a season 2 because I heard it didn't do well over in Japan neither. So
I'll watch it.
But my number 1, Buddy Complex.
So my number 1 for me, and if we ever do a top 10 most disappointing or horrible anime adaptations, this will go straight to the top. But my number 1 has got to be Rosaria plus Vampire. This show, the manga for it, was incredible. But the moment they decided to turn it into an anime, they took out all the good parts and just left us with this harem that had a catchphrase that just got annoying because they played it every single time Mocha would transform. But you take out the main enemy of the series, take out the whole thing that the plot revolved around, and leave us with this empty story about this guy who is going to this academy of monsters because that's the only place you can get accepted at, and just make it his everyday life with a harem of monster girls. And then, coincidentally, they made a second season that picked up right where the manga for the second season picked up, but because of the fact that you took out the main enemy from the first season and the plot from the first season, now you have to make one of the characters that has nothing to do with any of the events that transpired in season 2, and you make her the cause of all the events that happened in season 2. So that is the reason why this is the biggest disappointment to me. Now, if this was just a general harem that wasn't attached to a single manga, it would have been good. But throw in the fact that it's actually based off this amazing manga series, that's what turns it into the disappointment that is the number one Rosario plus vampire on the zombie.
And just like with everybody else that has spoken about this show, my number one is Maho Senso. And what else is there else to say about this show? I believe Pervy and Phoenix have pretty much summed up the whole show. I really don't think I need to put it at any more than what it has already been said about it. I really don't think I need to.
Your spin will make it spin too fast.
Yeah. I mean, this show was, as you had said, Phoenix, had such a good first episode, and then they literally do nothing with the story or the characters at all, hardly. Action in it is great, but you only get maybe, I think, like 5 minutes total within the whole show. That's it. It's such a disappointing show because there literally is nothing that goes on in this show. Nothing at all. I think I even read online to where the actual mangaka, or not mangaka, but the actual author of the light novels was all like, I don't know why they decided to pick this up, because he said that the story itself is pretty damn boring.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, that's my number one. I'm sorry, guys. I'm done with this show. I hate talking about it. But anyway, on to Derek's number one.
My number one is Shiki.
Remember, talk toward the mic.
Oh yeah, my number one is Shiki, and I watch it because it was a reference from website. I watched it, Another, and it's like, oh, you know what? I like Another. I like how the way it played out. It was pretty dark. Okay, so I started watching Shiki. Come to find out that they're fucking vampires. Okay, so I'm watching, and it's just taking forever. It's like, oh my god, this is way long than Another. I can have it wasn't that many episodes, so I'm still watching it. So what really takes me off that everybody's just playing it. They never freaking Odia Gotti or something like that. Demon and the main character, well, I wouldn't call him really main character because he gets cut off the screen pretty much. He gets pretty much 3-1 because he didn't want this guy he just met, became best friends with. Just like, look, we can do something about this. You can feed off me, which was a big no-no. You don't let a fucking vampire feed off. You kill it. You kill it regardless. End this fed off of him. Turn him into one of them, like a different hybrid. And the doctor. I will have to say he's my most favorite character in the whole show because how the way he just fucking acts and how he's finding this shit out. when he did, he just like, oh my god, we must exterminate him. My most favorite fucking character. But how they let off throughout what was going on. So slow, very slow. And I was frustrated. Like, come on, something really bad happened. And one thing that I liked was a vampire. I thought maybe this X.
Sorry about that, guys. And was that your number one?
Yeah, that was my number one.
Okay. And do y'all want to take a quick break?
I have a really quick. So if you like our top 10, disagree with our top 10, tweet us, say what your number one disappointing anime would be, and with that, I think we'll head to break. We'll be back in about 5 to 7 minutes.
Sing!
Yeah, man. Like there was like a buzzing noise. That's why I was like, what the hell is going on?
If I think about it, Lelouch can control both of them and you're fucked.
Still on.
Ballroom Blitz. Ballroom Blitz.
I love chocolate.
Blitz, Blitz, the Ballroom Blitz. Blitz, the Ballroom Blitz.
Alright, is everybody back now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are we sure? Everyone back, though?
The static's not coming from my computer, is it?
No.
Okay, then I won't mic up then.
Throwing these mitts.
Alright, here we go. And welcome back to the MSDF LiveCast.
So anyway, for this part of it, I think we'll start off with really the newest stuff that's going on, and that would be, of course, since now every single anime that was scheduled to come out for summer has been released, at least one episode, figured we get into a conversation about what we're actually watching this season and go around the table just like we did for the top 10, starting off with Pervy, then me, then Zombie, and then Derek.
So we're going to be talking about all of them. We're going to mention all of them at once, or are we just going to go one at a time?
You mention all the ones you're watching, and then I'll mention all mine, and then etc.
Okay, I'm actually watching quite a bit this season, actually. Starting, I guess we'll go alphabetical. Akami Got Kill, which is turning out to be a really good show. Al Noah Zero, which is looking like the sleeper hit of the season almost. Bakamatsu Rock, which is I don't know what the show is. The show is like it's like Hype Train has no breaks for the show. Sailor Moon Crystal, Bishojo Senshi, Sailor Moon Crystal. Yeah, Hype Train for the show too. Free Season 2, Eternal Summer, some more hype for the show. Local Idol, which I'm actually enjoying that too. Rail Wars, which, suck it haters, I'm enjoying Rail Wars. Sabagebu, which has turned out to be a really funny show.
Yes, the show's rocks.
Space Dandy Season 2, which so far has turned out to be pretty good through 2 episodes. Tokyo ESP, which is really interesting. Tokyo Ghoul, which has been absolutely nuts. And then Zankyo no Terror, which has been nuts too. And that's all I'm watching from this season.
All right, with mine, I'm going to go from the bottom up, except for some of them, which I'll get into a little bit about these animes. First off is Blade Dance of the Elementors, which watched the first episode 2 nights ago. And so far, you have a red version of Luna from Sailor Moon. You have a guy stuck in a class full of women. You have contracts, which that's always a good thing. And you have Akuma Homura taking over another series. But so far, not really impressive start, but it might get better. Next up is Jinsei, which the pacing is horrible. I will just say that outright. And this main girl that they're trying to force the relationship between the main character and her, Reno, the more you know her, the more annoying she gets.
The more you know.
And this is just the Chronicles of the Going Home Club that will hopefully not go into October like the other one did. So that's Jinsei. Hana Yamada, which I must say, I love the interpretation of English-speaking women in Japanese anime. And you can tell it too, because they're the big mouth characters. And literally, when I say this, they have the biggest mouth on them. But anyway, that one's good. It gives off the kind of yellow mosaic kind of feel to it. Next up is probably the only sequel that I'm watching this season, and it's I My Me Season 2. Right off the bat is funny. They're trying to recruit, this new organization is trying to recruit Ai into their group of manga artists, and they pretty much said if she doesn't accept, they'll kill her. It's just very hilarious from the start. Next up is Local Idol, which again is another great series that focuses more on, like I said, local idols. Unlike School Idol Project, which focuses on school idols. But it's really down to earth. It's more of an up version of behind the scenes of local idols. So I'm watching that. Next up is Hime Go To. And one thing I have to say about this, reading the comments for this after episode 2, I love this show is about a cross-dresser. This is about a guy who's forced to cross-dress because the student council saved his ass from the Yakuza. So everybody goes into this knowing it's about a cross-dresser. And then by the time episode 2 ends, everyone's like, oh, I'm going to drop this because of the fact that there's too many traps. For one, 3 is not that many. And by the way, anyone following me on Twitter, episode 2, this is what makes this the greatest anime. You have a cross-dressing disciplinary committee head who vows to take down the perverted student council. Now, try and make a Kill la Kill doujin of that. So after that, we got Gekken Shoujo no Zaki-kun, which the opening for this honestly sounds like it's trying to pull off the Space Dandy opening. You can ask Pervy and you can ask Don because I showed it to him right before we started recording this, and they will agree.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it.
But it's about this girl who falls in love with this manga artist that she didn't know at first. But because he doesn't understand confessions, he just thinks she's a fan, and she becomes his assistant.
So pretty much like a typical MC that doesn't know when a girl's hitting on him.
Yeah. So that's Nozaki-kun. Next up is bi-weekly Sailor Moon Crystal.
I love this show so much.
I'm so disappointed it's actually bi-weekly, though.
Yes, it is very irritating that it's bi-weekly, but this is such a great show, and I can't wait for this Saturday because we meet my favorite of the main 5, which is Sailor Mercury.
Yay. Ami-chan.
Number 2, and by far this has got to be the greatest ending song this season, an ending video, but it's Sabagebu. And
Man, that show has really good endings, yeah.
But it turns out I'm right. She actually does have long hair.
Which I love.
And then, of course, my favorite is Kaio in that. But after the second episode, a very close second is Urara. Just because, and I hope they continue with this masochistic gag that they brought upon in the second episode. And then finally, for me, my most anticipated show of this season has got to be A Kami Ga Kill.
Good show, good show.
And this is one of those shows that you'll either love it from the beginning or you'll just hate it. There's no real middle ground. Right now, great adaptation, and in just a couple of weeks, we'll be getting to more of the where it punches you in the gut if you have a certain favorite character. And then it just continues from there. And by the way, I do not like the fact that all the fan subs are are misspelling the names of the characters. So anyway, those are the anime that I'm currently watching, and on to Zombie.
Okay, what do you call it? I think I'll start off with... who cares? I'll just start. I'm also watching Free Eternal Summer.
Whoop.
Great show so far. We now know pretty much everything about these guys, and we got introduced to some new characters, and it's time to take care of business this season, which means more actual swimming of the actual sport and stuff. Which is really great, because that was the main point that I was in this show for a lot of, too. But anyway...
You weren't in it for the muscles?
I know, man. I love those muscles. But like, in all seriousness, it's a good show so far. And I'm really, really enjoying it. Let's see, I'm also watching Tokyo Ghoul, which has been a pretty crazy show so far.
Yeah, it has.
Great animation by Studio Parrot. Kudos to them, because most of their stuff usually doesn't look nearly that good. What do you call it? What else am I watching here? I'm also watching Zankyo no Tear, which is done by the...
Was it Mappa, right?
Yeah, it's done by Mappa, the branch off of Madhouse. And it's being directed by everyone's favorite director,
Shinichiro Watanabe.
Yeah, man, from Cowboy Bebop. All roads lead to Cowboy Bebop, as Anubis would say.
No, that's All Roads Lead to Black Time.
But in all seriousness, though, I didn't really expect him to do this kind of anime. I don't really think it's... Well, first of all, it's not really Western-based. So, at first I was like, really? But the story and stuff in it, animation and stuff is excellent. Judging by this first episode, it has a very dark, nightish feel and like suspense to it, which is great too. Let's see what else. I'm also watching Royal Wars, so suck it, haters. This is a good show, mainly because you can just somewhat turn off your brain and just be completely entertained by this show. It's such a fun show to watch that you can't help but enjoy it.
Really quick with Rail Wars. I heard a lot of people saying that episode 2 did not live up to what episode 1 did. Is that true or no?
No, I wouldn't think so. I don't think it completely lived up to it, but I think people are saying that like it was like nothing compared to the first episode. No, I would have to disagree. I think it was a very good episode. What else do you call it? By the way, it has a really good opening and a ending that's really good once you get past like the first like 18 seconds of that ending, because I think the first 18 seconds of that ending is terrible.
Yes.
What else am I watching? I'm watching Tokyo ESP, which seems... We don't know a whole lot about this show yet, other than the fact that the very first episode is technically one of the later episodes, and episode 1 is technically episode 2. And then it goes in chronological order.
Doesn't it take place in like another anime's universe too?
Yes, it does. It takes place in the Gairei Zero universe, but the Gairei Zero characters that we see only show up, apparently, from what I'm told, that one time. It's because it's that like the manga was made by the same mangaka. But point being, it's a really good show. Animation's okay. Art's good. Story so far seems, from what we know, interesting. And what else am I watching? I'm also watching Sailor Moon Crystal, which is freaking amazing. It is absolutely amazing. I can't explain to how happy I am to have this show back, and I'm excited to see the actual differences between the first show and this, because I'm from what I've seen, it's gonna be very different from the first season, or not first season, but from the actual first series. What else am I watching this season? I'm watching Sabagebu, which has been excellent. It's been an excellent comedy, and it has some pretty nice action scenes from the airsoft episode. And the thing that I love most about this show that I did not care for C3 Boo, even though I knew that it was supposed to be realistic in CE3 Boo, is the fact that like when they go and they do these survival games, you literally have this little from the CO2 or whatever it is that you use to launch the BB, out of the rifle or gun or anything. It wasn't impactful enough, and no one really got hurt or for say anything. It's like, oh look, I'm hit, I'm out. It wasn't really anything really intense. But with this, in their mind, they're firing real weapons, and everyone's getting shot, and blood's flying over the place when they get shot, and it's really entertaining. Really, really entertaining. And the comedy is great in it. Great opening and a great ending. And Aldino Zero... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, but the kind of comedy you'll find in Sabagebu includes a girl getting shot in her tits.
Not just that, the narrator's great in here too, because he like breaks the fourth wall, because he's like, if you were expecting this and this, or like if you don't like guns, then this doesn't mean that it's supporting gun violence and all that crap. Pretty much, it's pretty much breaking the fourth wall and poking fun at the Western culture.
By the way, who's your guys' favorite character
in that show? I don't know, man. I've only seen 2 episodes so far.
Whoever, I would say it's probably the purple-haired girl. I can't remember her name.
Is that the masochist one?
Yeah, no, that's Urara.
Oh, you mean the main character girl, the one that dresses up in all the
military uniforms?
Yeah, and she has the Desert Eagles and all that. Yeah, like she's a really good character.
She's really funny. I enjoy her character.
And the one character I feel the saddest for out of this whole show is the one girl with the big boobies. Because every time she goes to do something, she either gets shot first or something like that because she has big boobs, or man, you kind of feel sad for her in a way, in like a comedy way. What's her name? The only thing I don't understand is that in episode 2, when the one Derdere chick, the one that likes to go around in the ghillie suit, I don't understand why her Uzis didn't shoot full auto near the end of the episode 2, when in episode 1 they were shooting full auto. I had no clue why it was like that.
She probably clicked them to do that.
I don't know. But anyway, I think, what else am I watching? I'm also watching the Shidogan no Ishi Agravion, or something like that. I can't really tell you too much about the show, because there's not really that much of the story that we know about, other than it's a mech show, and it has the type of feel of like 8th MS Team, like kind of like a really like guerrilla type of like warfare and stuff with these mechs. Mech design is not really that good, except for the main mech, Agravion. It's okay looking, but I'm finally also watching Akame ga Kill, which has been pretty good so far for these first 2 episodes, and I can't wait to see more.
You're also watching Aldnoah.0.
Yes, I am watching that, Aldnoah.0. This show I think is going to be really good. I really think it's going to be really good. I forgot if it's 12 episodes or if it's 24.
It's 12.
Episode 2 got real fast.
Yeah, it did.
And all I can say is wow. I mean, that's all you really can say. It's a really good show so far. I'm gonna go check it out also. And that's what I'm watching for summer. On to you, Derek. What are you watching this summer?
Well, besides, as you guys mentioned, this Tokyo Ghoul, which is crazy. I like how the character's like, I don't want to lose my humanity over this shit. Which I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucking crazy. He's going through some hard shit. Can't believe he has to eat people. Ugh. And started watching Sailor Moon Crystal. For the love of God, it's really good. But I know this is the only two I'm watching. I'm trying to put more in because I've been working lately like crazy. Yeah, if you got any options, I'll be happy to get tweet about it. That'd be cool. Yeah, that's about it that I'm watching right now. Oh yeah, Come No Kill. I just started that tonight. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's it.
Alright, so that is all the anime that we are watching for this season. We may be adding more later on, halfway through, or probably even near the end of the summer season, so you can always check back with us and check out what we're watching and what we think of it on Twitter. And now, speaking of stuff that we were watching, recently a few of us have been able to see some new OVAs that were either just released or finally found a dependable sub to be able to watch them. So first off, I don't know if Derek's actually watched this yet, but for a lot of us have been looking forward to the new Girls in Panzer Anzio OVA.
Yes, yes, and yes.
First off, I have to say with this, they really put a good portion of their budget into that audio.
Yeah, the audio of this show was ridiculous. Even for an OVA, the tanks were so loud when they battled, and when they crashed into one another and just started firing. It was ridiculous. It was like an actual war was going on.
Might I say also that the art and animation in this was ridiculously high too.
Yeah,
the tanks were so detailed, it was stupid.
Even for like an OVA, they overhauled like all the tanks. I made them look so good.
They had a great budget for that.
Wow, you are echoing.
But yeah, it was really good. You got introduced to the whole new school of Anzio and what they're about. How they earn their own budget at their school because they're kind of a smaller school.
And not to mention they are Italian.
So like every day to them is like a party because they have like 1 million food stalls in front of their school. So each club like earns their own like club budget and everything too.
And not to mention the names and the puns that they come up with too is really entertaining. Especially what's her name?
Anchovy?
I think like anchovy,
pepperoni. Caroche, I think her name was.
That and the emblem to their school is a whole pizza pie or a pizza and with a slice coming off.
One thing I have to say about this though is how Yukari was able to get surveillance and not get caught like she did in the series.
You would not believe how happy I was to see her do that, and Yukari is still best girl.
It was so funny to see that because I really, really thought she was going to get caught at some point again, especially when she was talking to Pepperoni, who was running one of the food booths, who made this absolutely amazing-looking pasta dish. FYI, Pepperoni has the biggest mouth of that whole squad. She just yap.
Yep, that's true, man. She did have a pretty big mouth.
So that's why she's probably my favorite character.
Also, one interesting thing, guys, is that Team Angler takes a back seat in this OVA pretty much, and it's all about Team Duck, Team Rabbits, and Team
Team
Hippo.
Hippo, yeah.
And
And there's an absolutely ridiculous scene in here with Team Hippo versus one of the bigger Italian tanks. They're literally jousting and sumoing with tanks.
yeah, like it's pretty nuts. Not to mention the Italians had these little tankettes, which are like really tiny tank things, and like they said, like the main purpose wasn't to like destroy you. The main purpose was to aggravate the ever living shit out of you with them, while their medium to light tanks would take you out.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how they
won. Make a mistake.
Right, but I think this is also the first time that we've seen to where Ori High School wasn't at an actual disadvantage, like they were in the show. Because every time they faced somebody, they were in a disadvantage. And
those little tanks, they're so great because they can take a licking and just come right back from everything. Because you see at one point they get knocked over, and then like everybody just like the two people who are in it spill out onto the ground. They're just like, push it back over. We'll get back in and go right back at it.
And I think some people that may be listening to this are all like, well, my gosh, like, what is this? Like, how big is this tank? Well, we're literally talking about a tank that's literally only maybe like 7 to 6.5 feet long, and it literally stands only like 3.5 feet tall.
It's the two-seater of tanks.
It's a pretty small tank. I mean, you could like probably put that thing on like a little quarter machine thing. It would just, that's how big that thing is.
Yeah. And what do you call it? And the main purpose of it was to help infantry in real life. And on one side, one person drives, of course, and on the other side, they have control of these two, not Gatling guns, but two, fairly decent size, like automatic machine guns and stuff. And they were mainly meant to help for infantry. What else was there in there? Oh yeah, they're fast as hell too. I noticed that in real life they can get up to 30 miles an hour, which I think is probably like one of the fastest things during World War II, because I think one of the other fastest tanks only went up to, I think, around like 16 miles an hour. I think it's like 16 or 20 miles an hour. That's it. So these things definitely had the speed advantage.
Yeah.
How about the Italians P-40? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, the P-40 is huge. It was their biggest tank that they had. They had to cut into their snack time in order to buy this tank.
Exactly, and the tanks aren't that big. Their regular light tanks are tiny. They're only maybe, I would probably say, maybe 9 to 10 feet long. That's it. They're not big. They are not big at all. And the P-40 wasn't that much bigger. It was like a regular medium-sized tank, and they're like, yeah, this is our heavy tank. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's like normal size compared to everything else. But it was such entertaining and well choreographed OVA. It was just a blast seeing GUP back in action and seeing all these characters.
I really enjoyed the Italians, and it's because of that zeal of them being, Italian. Like, don't give up, come back, and keep going. Like, that's what I was mentioning earlier, where their little tanks got pushed over and just knocked away, and just pushed. They just like it got pushed onto like its side. They just like knocked it back over, climbed back in, and kept going. That's what made me like respect them, because they were just kept coming at you until they finally got blown away by the large tank shells, which made me feel kind of bad because they were so small.
I agree, but it did take them a while, though, for them to actually get taken out, man, the little tanks, because, like we said, they're very small and they're extremely hard to hit.
Oh, yeah. So, and the fun part, too, it comes towards more the end of the episode, too, with them with the Italians and Uri having a party right at the end, and then the Italians being the first to show up because Uri moving on in the tournament, because this takes place during the tournament in the last few episodes. They like the Italians party so hard they passed out and missed the finals.
Yeah, like it's pretty funny. But yeah, I agree, man. Great characters, and like it's nice to see a different school and their culture, and that's one of the reasons why I love this show so much. And it's not like a stereotype and like a pun slash like, oh god, that was horrible. It's more of like a pun slash stereotype where you can get sort of a laugh out of it, but still really respect the culture and stuff behind it. That's what I really loved about it.
They had like their plan was called like Plan Macaroni. Their response was one big bowl of pasta coming right up.
Yeah, that and I'm like, what happened to Operation Macaroni and stuff? It's just really good, funny puns. It's such a good OVA, and I cannot wait for the movie. God, I hope the movie is this good. If the movie is at least half this good, then it's still going to be a good movie. But with that, I think I'm pretty much done talking about it.
Yeah, same here. And I believe Phoenix Otaku has an OVA he wants to talk about.
Well, before I get to that, I was going to mention when you guys actually took a small break in between good points about the show was that this OVA really showed how useless the student council president really is.
That is true, and I've got beef. I've got like beef with her. I've got more beef than India. All right. Let's put it this way. She sat there eating snacks the entire episode while the vice pres and I guess the secretary, I think it was, did all the work. And there she is just like, I just remembered at one point she was like, oh, you missed your shot. Then why didn't you do it?
It's just a great OVA, man. I had high expectations for it, and boy, did it deliver. And with that, I think we can go on to your review of.
Yeah. So, weekend ago, I had mentioned that I had finally found a high quality sub of the Hyperdimension Neptunia OVA. And it was just so great to finally, just like with Girls and Panzer, finally see more animated Neptunia. It starts off with finding out, with Nepgear facing down, preparing to fight with Neptunia. And Neptunia basically saying that sacrifice me so you can defeat all those enemies, and you just see this sky full, this blitzkrieg of monsters just coming towards them. So Nepgear one hits Neptune, and you think she's done because she said the word ouchie. Next thing you know, it cuts back to Neptunia, but instead of being Neptunia, she's one of the... I never remember the name of these, because they're one of the first enemies you ever fight in the game. But she's this little bouncing purple gooseball that just keeps multiplying. So after that, you find out that it's this thing called the walkthrough. Bad End Syndrome. All of the sisters have been diagnosed with it. And the only way to cure it is to find the walkthrough flower. So Blanc and Noir go to this one part of game industry to find it. Meanwhile, Neptunia and Vert go to the other dimension to find the walkthrough flower, where they meet all four of the goddesses' counterparts and Pico, which it is so great to see Neptunia's alternate universe self and Pico again. And just that first meeting between Pico and Neptunia again brings back all the feelings from when she left in the original anime. So anyway, they go on this dungeon crawling, and they get there, and they only have 3 hours to get back, or else they're going to be trapped there for 3 years. So they find they have to go all the way to the 10,000th floor. They find an elevator that takes them from floor number 4 to 9,999. But it takes 2.5 hours. So when they get there, they're confronted with more enemies, in which Blanc and Vert, alternate universe Vert, because Neptune and Vert can't transform in this world. So they fight one enemy, go a little bit farther, come up with more, and Sadie, that I'm going to call her because a lot of people call her that, and Noir fight the others. So they go all the way up to the 10,000th floor, find the walkthrough flower, and get surrounded by even more enemies. And we finally get to see Pico fight again. We got to see her fight in the original anime, but not as much as you wanted to. So getting to see this and see her actually transform is just a breath of fresh air. But naturally, she can't fight them all at once. So Neptuna sends Vert ahead, pulls out this sword out of nowhere and fights with her because she wanted to fight with her one more time. Next thing you know, 3 hours are up. And Neptuna, being trapped there, the goddesses ask her, well, what are you going to do now? She's like, I'll figure out something because I'm the protagonist. Next thing you know, they get to the warp point again. Neptuna breaks it. And because she's the protagonist, you can pretty much guess what happens. So now, after opening up a broken warp point dimension portal to her original universe, now everyone can go in between universes. This OVA was just, like I said before, it was a relief to finally be able to see more Neptuna. And I really hope that with Neptuna they actually do another series that follows the stories of the games, instead of taking bits from all three. But the animation for this was really well done. The story for it was great. The soundtrack was phenomenal. And one great thing I liked about this OVA is that they kept the original opening and ending from the actual animation. So overall, I'd give this about 8.5, 9 out of 10. Highly recommend everyone watching it after watching the original Neptuna series that aired last year. And with that, that's pretty much my take on the Hyperdimension Neptuna, the animation, the OVA. And with that, now we can get into a subject that we can actually get Derek in on, and that's animated-related news.
Yay! News time.
News time.
And
Well,
this is mostly going to be news from last week.
Let's say, hang on. News time, news time, news time, news time. Here's the news that ever fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. Okay, go ahead.
Pow, 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 pow.
So anyway, we'll start off with a show that we all love. That at AX, the cast for the dub of Sailor Moon was announced. Of course,
Yes.
Sailor Moon being voiced by none other than Stephanie Sheh.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoop whoop.
The actual clip of the dub is actually out. That introduces us to Stephanie Sheh's version of Sailor Moon.
Usagi.
I was going to
Okay.
say Sailor Moon.
Either way, it doesn't matter. I need to watch this video then.
It
Same.
is amazing. We also get a glimpse at Tuxedo Mask too.
Oh,
Who plays Tuxedo Mask? Do we know yet?
It was
George Clooney.
Robbie. I can't remember his last name. Let me look up the cast again.
Yeah, but so
So
far
anyway, what is
have,
your opinion about Sailor Moon getting a new dub?
I think it's about time. I figured I've seen a bit of the old one myself, and I used to watch it as a fact every day on Toonami. No offense to the old one, no offense to the old dub. I still have a place in my heart for it, but I'm kind of happy this is getting re-brought out because it's still bringing Sailor Moon to kind of a whole new generation of fans.
I would have to agree. I'm
Robbie
really
Damon
happy that it is getting a new dub.
Robbie Damon is Tuxedo Mask.
Ah, okay.
I have no clue who he is.
same here.
So we have Stephanie Shea as Sailor Moon, Kate Higgins as Sailor Mercury, Christina
Voice of
Vee as
Sailor
Sailor Mars, Amanda Miller as Sailor Jupiter.
Yeah, Jupiter! That's my girl right there.
Voice actress for Asuka from Sword Art as Sailor Venus.
I love V.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Robbie Damon as Tuxedo Mask. Michelle Ruff as Luna.
Yeah.
And Johnny Young Bosch as Artemis.
Didn't we have Todd Havercorn playing like Umino or somebody? No.
He plays the video game guy, doesn't he?
He plays like Jedi, doesn't he?
Yes.
And then Patrick Seitz plays like Malite or something like that.
Kunzite?
Kazite, yeah, there you go.
Hopefully this dub's gonna be good, man. It sounds good.
I plan on pre-ordering that first part.
Yeah, but pre-order for
relatively
it though won't even come out, man, until like next year, like the ass end of next year.
No, it's already out.
The first part is scheduled
Oh,
for
the new part. I thought we were talking
11th.
about the new one.
No.
Yeah, the old one, the redub. It's
Okay.
gonna come out November 11th, right?
Yes.
Yeah, November 11th.
You guys remember the old opening for the Sailor Moon opening?
Fighting evil by moonlight.
Yeah, but funny about it, they stole it from some scene forward and well, think about it.
Yeah, it's true. They did.
I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but Spike Spencer took a picture of his barbecue that he got in Texas, and I want to punch him in the gut now.
Are you saying that because I'm
No, Derek, I'm not saying that because you're black.
So, anyway.
Shouldn't
Although they do have sausage on here, though.
Shouldn't Spike Spencer be wearing a bathrobe, a cigar, and a cup of wine, trying to face down a tornado at this point?
So anyway, in other AX news, Aniplex, which severely disappointed me as far as
Because
the industry panel goes.
There was no Ganaiwo.
Yeah, they
Yes.
only announced Valvrave, which is strange.
I was actually just about to get to that. Aniplex announced the full release of Valvrave the Liberator for a grand price total of $140.
No, it was 120.
But you do get the whole show.
It was 120 for the whole show.
Everywhere I was reading was 140.
Yeah, I think it's either 120 or 140. But you do get all the shows, and you get apparently some premium, like two-sided like poster or something.
But you gotta stop and think: is that show worth $120 really?
But besides for that, one thing I have to ask: do you find it weird though that Aniplex only announced one thing at probably what is the biggest convention in the United States?
No, not really, because I think their main focus was pretty much mainly Sword Art Online and Kill la Kill there.
But
Yeah,
still, they had an entire panel for the industry, which was their stuff. Then they had their Sword Art, and then Kill la Kill stuff.
I'm not too surprised about new stuff because even when me, Timmy, Shane, and or K Gods. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to use your first name there. K Gods. But when we went there, there was I think like 5 or 6 new titles. That's it, and they announced
yeah.
I think like 10 to 12 different shows. So
I remember correctly. They announced that they were getting that One Piece movie that came out. They had acquired Valvrave. They're doing something with Magi that was going to air on like the non-existent.
Daisuke or something.
No, it was going to air on that non-existent anime channel now. Whatever it was, at the
Oh, the Anime Network.
Neon Alley. My bad.
Oh yeah, Neon Alley. Well, that's
Yeah.
online.
And then they had like one other thing, and Valve was like the only important thing that they had actually had in that list. The fact that it took them a year to say that they actually had the rights to it and actually put it out is kind of surprising.
Yeah, me too. But then again, though, man, fucking Aniplex and Sunrise and all them men are laughing their way to the bank, man, this year.
It's true, yeah. I think that what they did, they kind of put a lot of stuff on the back burner in order to push Kill la Kill out faster.
But
Which
good
I'm fine
news.
with.
Yeah, I am too. But news though, from what we've also heard about, I think you told me, Lane, that it seems like the second season of Excel World's not really that too far off now.
Nope. From what I've read, someone at the author of Sword Art Online and Excel World, because I cannot remember his name.
Gen Urabochi.
Yeah, someone at his panel had asked him about Excel World Season 2, and he told them that right now, Sunrise, they are planning to make a Season 2, but Sunrise is so entangled in other projects, i.e. Love Live 5th Anniversary Project.
And mainly Gundam.
And all the new Gundam stuff that's coming out.
Yeah.
They're laughing their way to the bank.
That once Sunrise is finished with these projects, that they can actually begin work on the new season of Excel World.
Dude, I can't wait.
But yeah, another thing from an author panel, they had Yamakan there, for those of you who don't know, the guy who did Idolmaster and Wake Up Girls most recently.
Woog!
There's a shot of him circulating around the internet just checking through his phone because apparently he forgot the names of his own characters. I don't know how true that is, but if that was true, that made me kind of chuckle because, I can understand because you've been part of so many animes, you can't remember all your characters.
So yeah, and that's so far the biggest pieces of news. We can talk about Battle of Everyday Life later on when it gets closer to coming out.
Yeah.
But since we only have half an hour left in the show, guess we should probably be moving on.
Let's go right into hot releases, I suppose.
The hot releases. I'm sorry. I know that was bad, but anyway, guys, all these releases have come out as of right now. For anime releases, we have Bento, and it will be coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. Even though for some reason on Right Stuff it says 2027 or 2017, something like that.
2027.
We have The Flowers of Evil on Blu-ray and DVD.
Boo.
We have Naruto Shippuden Set 19, and we have Sami-san and Ganda Banara Complete Collection.
Sami-san Ganbare.
Yeah. And that's it for the anime so far. And manga, we have 007 Ghost, or not 007, but oh 07 Ghost Volume 11, Alice in Country and Clover, Knight's Knowledge Volume 1, Case Closed 51, Devils and Realists Volume 2, Fullmetal Alchemist 3 and 1 Volume 8, including Volumes 22, 23, 24, Rama 1 half, 2 and 1, Volume 3, including 5 and 6, Rinri at Volume 15, The Seven Deadly Sins at Volume 3, Sherlock Bones at Volume 6, Yuki Holder at Volume 2, and Vampire Hunter D at Volume 21. And that's it for all the hot releases of this week.
All right.
Any titles you guys are looking forward to out of those releases?
I am looking forward to some stuff for stuff that's already come out, and that's Majestic Prince. That's already come out. It came out this Tuesday. That was a excellent mecha show. What else am I waiting for? Oh yeah, also want Haruko Mausama or The Devil's a Part-Timer.
Same here, definitely.
Now that since I've heard the Toradora dub, I want it even more now. That is a really good dub.
You willing to pay the price though?
I will eventually. I just won't get the big box set. I'll just get Volume 1, which contains the first 12 episodes for like $50. But I'm not gonna get the Mega Edition.
But I'm definitely looking forward to The Devil's a Part-Timer. Also, if I had the money right now, I would have thrown down for Bento because I really enjoyed Bento. I actually do miss that show and I want to watch it again. We've got coming. I think it's July 22nd. We have Volume 4 of Wanamote coming out, which is what I'm really looking forward to.
Yep.
Derek,
And not to mention. Oh, sorry, go on.
Derek, anything you're looking forward to?
Just about some of the stuff you guys said. My brain just went off right there for a moment. Yeah, I'm in a brain fart right now.
Cue the Sonic on Spike's music or soundbite.
Yeah. How about some Linkin Park?
No.
Crawling in my skin.
Shinji!
Pretty much. I'm just way blank right now.
Alright, what do you want to get here soon, Lane?
Well, as out of those releases, nothing really I'm looking forward to, but coming up on our show on Saturday, the releases for this week, there'd be some things that I'm looking forward to. And yes, older release, Toradora, definitely looking forward to.
Such a good dub. Oh, also, I also got Kill la Kill in the mail too. Last Friday.
That's for our next segment. Well, our next
setup. Nice shipping.
So, just
Sorry.
so people know what's going on, the final two things for our show is going to be nice shipping, where we talk about the things that we got, and kind of want to try out this new segment since we have just under half an hour left, and that is just general anime thoughts. So anyway, on to nice shipping.
Nice shipping. Ding dong, delivery.
And as I had said before, Kill la Kill came in the mail for me on Friday, and as I had thought, man, the dub for this is really good. I've seen episodes 1 through 2, not 1 through 4 yet. I'm going to be watching 3 and 4 here within the next day or so. I think that's about all I've got in the mail or have gotten recently. And on to you, Pervy.
Yeah, my house has been kind of like clockwork recently with the packages coming in. First, I had Kill la Kill come in this past week, which I'm very happy about. I need to marathon 1 through 4 here soon. I had my Fight Club Mako t-shirt come in. from
Which is
Shark
awesome.
from Shark Robot. Got her holding a got her holding a bar of soap that says Fight Club. So if you've seen Fight Club, you'll get the reference. And I finally, thank you, Ami, finally got my 1/6 Tony Taka figure in, which I took a picture of all these. They're on my Twitter. You can see how good the 1/6 Tony Taka is. It's physically probably the most beautiful figure I own right now, and it's in such good detail, and it's 1/6, so it's really huge. The one thing I really enjoyed seeing out of it, though, is that you can flip the base over, and the base makes like a little, on the opposite side, makes a little tray, so you can like put like fake flowers or whatever you want in there in order to make it look like kind of realistic in a way.
Hence her name is like the Peacekeeper Daisy. Or
Yeah,
Daisy, sorry.
Peacekeeper Daisy, yeah. And I actually looked this up. There's like one piece of artwork for her, and that's what kind of makes me sad. I wish there was more for it.
And anything for you, Lane?
Well, besides for a bonus check and a paycheck, I received an email from Right Stuff with the tracking number for Kill a Kill, which said it won't be in until next Monday.
Yeah, man, that
Because my
sucks.
pre-order was so worth it.
The enthusiasm.
Well, I mean, I pre-ordered Kill a Kill literally less than 2 hours after it becomes available. And I'm pretty much waiting until after everybody else gets it. So,
Right stuff is slacking, man.
Anything else?
as for me, no.
What about you, Derek?
Well, to be honest, I haven't got nothing since I get paid tomorrow. My first thing I'm gonna get is step in front of Electronics and get the goddamn Guilty Crown.
Oh, you mean you're gonna get the one limited edition for like $90?
Oh yeah, dude, I'm getting that bad boy. And I will be buying my costume for the con. Which is a surprise. No spoilers.
I actually do have something else. Should be coming in here hopefully this week, actually, sometime in the next few days, Friday, Saturday, maybe. I'm supposed to be getting and prepare the internet's rage meter because it's gonna go off the charts. I got School Days.
Woo woo!
So now I officially own the series and I own the game. Thank you, J-List.
2 episodes in, I'm fucking done.
Oh, dude, man, you're gonna like want to punch your fucking computer screen, dude.
Hashtag truth. Hashtag shoes.
And hashtag nice boat.
Hashtag nice boat.
Yep.
And with that, I think we are good. And
that is.
Well, we were wanting to do the general.
Hold on.
this discussion that's true.
That is nice shipping, and now, actually, I have a name for this. With 23 minutes left, we'll get into the Maho Shoujo Defense Force's final thoughts. And
now it's time for my final thoughts. You know, there's a lot of white trash out there nowadays.
We'll start with Timmy, and we'll start with Pervy, and at this point, pretty much just give like a general thing you'd like to say about anything anime related that's possibly on your mind.
Oh boy, man, oh man, there's gonna be a lot of good stuff from me.
Really, I don't have much of anything anime related to talk about. I really don't. Beyond, I'm getting School Days in, which I haven't really decided whether I want to go through that rage again or not. Because I remember the last time I watched this show, I almost threw my computer monitor out the door. The character, and that's something else I want to address. Don't bitch about this show. Quit hating the show because the show is made for you to hate it. The characters make you hate the show. Doesn't mean you have to hate the show. It really doesn't. It's designed to do that, and if it does that to you, it's a good show. In all honesty, it is a good. It actually is a good show. it, there will never be a show like this to where it'll be designed to piss you off ever again.
I agree.
The guy or person, whoever it was, who made the School Days franchise, School Days, Cross Days, now Shiny Days. He's a troll. He designed his stuff to make people mad, and he's laughing all the way to the bank because of it. Because School Days is like one of the most popular eroge.
I still love the little keychain you get with the computer game.
The Makoto head. Spoiler, nice boat.
Is that it?
I hope whoever got that as the gift at our hashtag Ship It panel enjoys it.
And I hope they actually watch the show.
I think when I mentioned School Days at our hashtag Ship It panel, about half the audience went like, "Aww."
Yeah. All right, Lane, you're up, man.
So anyway, really, final thoughts are pretty much between the summer anime and just people not... I don't know how to say this. People basically being idiotic towards some of the shows out there.
Oh, dude, man, you don't even know, man.
My main gripe is with everybody watching and trashing on Hime Goto. Now, I get that there's not really that many cross-dressing anime out there. And I know that you might be upset that this is only 5 minutes. Believe me, I wish this was a little bit longer because this is so funny.
So true.
But you have to understand that you're going into a show about a cross-dresser. You seriously can't expect there to be only one. So to bitch and moan that not only the fact that his brother's a cross-dresser and the disciplinary committee chair is a cross-dresser, why... First off, why are you going to drop an anime just because there's more than one trap? It makes no sense when you're watching it because of watching a show that's based around a trap.
Man, it's just 2 sausages too many, man. No, I'm kidding. And I know how you feel.
This is such a great show that has such great potential, and you're going to shit all over it only because of the fact that 3 people that you thought looked like a woman and thought that was a woman and made your penis confused turns out to be a guy. You're going to drop it over that? And I'm sorry that you can't touch yourself to these people when you find out the truth.
Embrace the hard gay.
I will.
It's an anime. It's just like the argument between incest. It's 2D. It's not like the world is based around this. It's not like you're going to walk into Circle K tomorrow and just every single woman you meet is either going to be obsessed with her brother or it turns out that they got a package of their own. And if you're that scared, you should just stay at your home, become George Costanza, and just sit in your basement until the day you finally find a woman over the internet that thinks the same thing as you.
I don't want women. I'll just watch my 2D lolly shows.
So that's my little final thought for the day. And Zombie, on to you.
Oh, where do I start? You know what? I'll start with Rail Wars. Okay, this is the stupidity of Mal, and I've known this for a long, long time. But to my surprise, I was caught off guard a little bit. I was in the forums of the Rail Wars anime, and of course, everyone was talking about the one girl with the pink hair that has the big boobies to where she's jogging around. They're flopping all over the place, right? And of course, everyone starts with plot is great, so on and so forth, right? You know, everyone's joking, having a good laugh. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes in and says, just for me seeing this GIF, I am not going to watch this show. This show is utter garbage. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. You haven't seen a PV or nothing like that. You haven't even watched this show. And you're just going to shit on it just because you've seen a GIF of big boobs bouncing up and down? There was 2 parts in episode 1 that were dedicated to pure male fan service. That's it. That's it. It's not like they lasted like a minute. They lasted for like 5 seconds. You see, man, that's what I've become disgusted with some of the fan base. And it's because I believe in equal opportunity and to where everyone should be, or something or someone should be given a chance. Man, man, I'm pretty strict against, you know, I'm like watching, more of like a homophobic show and stuff and all that stuff, right? But you see me watching Free, mainly because the show itself knows what it is, and it kind of pokes fun at itself, and everyone's there to have a good time. That doesn't mean that it's a bad show just because it has guys and a female fan service. Doesn't mean that it's bad. Uh, this is like 97%. Well, no, that Pacific type is probably less than like 10% of the male fan base. But like the rest of like the 83% is right behind that guy.
Well,
And to how stupid and to how they don't use common sense.
well, it's also like those people that are dropping Hime Goto because they showed one guy's bulge for 2 seconds.
Well, I think it's the fact that the guys who watch the shows are like, oh, I don't like this from the GIF, big bouncing breasts, da. These are the same guys who are absolutely fucking jealous of each and every one of the main characters that gets to be around these women each day. These are the same neckbeards that live in their parents' basement.
Dude, man, don't even get me started, man, on the people that hate Tatsuya, man, and Mahoka.
Like, they're not. The only reason they don't like Tatsuya is because they're not him. They weren't popular when they were in high school like he was. They don't have the same power he does. And they don't have a little sister to take care of, like he does. That's the only reason, because outside their house, outside their parents' basement or their house or whatever they live in, there's a big bright ball of yellow in the sky that they fear. Because if they go outside, they'll be like the Wicked Witch of the West, and they'll melt.
But also another one of my shows that I'm watching is that Algorivion one, the one mech one. Okay, we're 2 episodes into this, right? This is gonna be a 24 episode show, and you know that, I mean, usually during like big shows, the very beginning and stuff are usually gonna be kind of slow, and in which this is. Now, is this show great by any chance right now? No, it's not. Is it bad? No. Is it okay? And yeah, it is. But here's the thing. Another person was all like, "This show is absolute garbage and complete bullshit. I can't fathom how people can watch this garbage. I'm gonna drop this show and give it a 2 out of 10." And I'm thinking to myself, so you haven't even watched this whole show, and you're gonna well, them dropping it's one thing, But the fact that they're going to drop it right, and then they're going to rate it when they haven't even seen the whole show. I mean, like, do you go into a movie and say, okay, well, even though my opinion of this is terrible, would you still go on a review site and review it? Just to badmouth it? I'm sure there's people that would, but I think that's stupid. You know, there's still going to be people, man, that are going to enjoy the show. I'm sorry, it's just one of my pet peeves. I just don't see no point in it. Because all the shows that I've dropped, I don't rate because I haven't finished them. I don't know what the actual show is totally like. I'm sorry. But, like, Mal thinks like this, and, and it's really sad. It really is. And don't even get me started on this one news thing on Mal to where it's like, oh, look, generic MC comes and gets these women and is in this alien world that are controlled by these smart insect things, and he gets all the bitches and gets this magical power and stuff, right? Because everyone's like, oh, look at this story. Isn't this just great? Man, this medium has gotten to be a joke. And this was a light novel that was going to be adapted, right? And this one guy got into a fight with me, because I was all like, so why do you say that this medium in general is terrible? Just because something doesn't pander to your taste, you think the actual product is bad? I'm sorry, the last time I checked, these stories and stuff were meant for mainly, I believe, a Japanese audience, and wasn't meant to pander to your taste. Stop crying. I'm sorry. No, you know what? I'm not sorry. Anyway, that's my little rant. What do you got left, Derek, man? You got 10 minutes.
Well, you don't have to take up the entire 10 minutes if you don't feel like it.
I just really don't have nothing to say about stuff because, you know me, I'm just like, fucking ignore it until it involves Gundam, and I start getting really fucking hardcore at that point. But since nothing's being involved at this point, I really don't have anything to say about that. So, yeah.
Okay. Was that it then?
Alright, and
I guess
that's the show. And even though ANN calls Akunohana art with a capital A, it's not. This is the Maho Shoujo Defense Force podcast.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter also, guys.
Yeah, follow us at Phoenix Otaku.
At Pervy Fatman.
At Hung Like a Zombie.
At Harmy12.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter. Type in capital letters MSDF and look for the Magi Life Modica. And like we said, this is the MSDF LiveCast.
Tune in